That's good. Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Ruth. Thanks for being on Roodoodles Live on this Saturday morning here. And love to have you being a part of Roodoodles Live. I show up most Saturday mornings here and do a little painting, do a little instruction, do a little rant, rave, and rascally storytelling. So anyway, glad you're on board today. Top of the morning to you, Deborah Spangler. Welcome, Lori Stanley, Handelbauer Henderson, Beverly Schmidt, Heather Kuhlman, Marlena Davis, JJ Dask, Dorothy Beasley, Mike Paramore, the Bee Man hath cometh, Donna Sil Barton, Denise Albright, Jennifer Yentz twice. Jennifer Yentz with a couple symbols. So, anyway, glad to have you on this morning. What is my hair doing? Did anybody know? Time to go run it through the car wash. All right, so got to get the car cleaned out. Got a little trip going. Going to the mountains to shoot some video tomorrow. So I will not be painting Monday, but I'll probably give you a little glimpse of where I am. Got to do a little interview on some development work. So I'll be thinking like an artist, but I'll paint a couple things probably there, but I don't think I'll be online doing it in the middle of the mountain. So anyway, good to have you part of the show this morning. Let me do this. Let me, let's see, that camera lens is, I know I brought it in a little closer this morning. There it is. You can see it hanging down there. I think this is going to give you the view that I need here. Boom. And let's see if I can get this thing to focus. Come in. Doop, doop, doop. There it goes. This will probably focus a little better on that. Not yet. It's not doing it yet. There we go. Is that focus, or I still have my glasses on? Oh, that's pretty sharp. Okay. Hey, I was digging through, and maybe you've seen this before on the show. So top of the morning to you. I'll say hello to some other folks as they pop up this morning. Sharon Clark, there you are. Thanks for being on the show. Deborah Lynn Tauber, Lynn Schleitning, Linda Edwards Small, Becky Bailey, Pat Lightbody. Thank y'all for being on. Marie Pikert, and Patricia Crowder. I found this painting that I did probably about 2010 or 11, and it's on just a pretty weary piece of watercolor paper. I'm sure it's the best. I thought this was grand watercolor paper back then. But I love this painting, and it says, "Roosters painted while you work." Skeeter Powell, we're in Charlotte today, he says. Yeah, I know, I'm having dinner with you tonight, you rascal. And so I'll look forward to seeing you later this afternoon, my friend. Skeeter is in town today. Skeeter, who is with, you guys know Skeeter's name on this show because of David's Table. And they're doing some planning, prepping, but also they're coming in for Johnny and Friends, has a big event in Charlotte today. And so some of their friends are coming up to be a part. And I don't know exactly how they're connected. But Then I'm having dinner with Carol and I are having dinner with several of them tonight at one of our favorite places in town. You're gonna love it. You know what it's called, right? It's called Roosters. Yeah, and Jim Noble runs this restaurant called Roosters. It's the one you've seen the videos before. If you've ever seen a video, I'll shoot in there. There's like 40 roosters, taxidermy roosters on the wall, and I don't know if they ate them or not, but I'm just kidding. All right, so here we go. I'm going to paint this again for you. So I'm going to put on a piece of music, and this needs to be redone, but I really do love it. And somebody's asked for one, and I'll probably do another one to post out there. But it says, "Roosters painted while you wait," and it was just kind of a little sign that I used to use when I'd go and set up and sell my roosters and smaller ones in places, and I just kind of prop this up on them, and people would go, "What do you mean painted while you wait?" And I go, "Well, do you have a couple minutes?" They go, "Yeah." So we'll wait right there, and I'll paint one for you. So he's a little rooster looking back like this. And I'm not going to even, you know what? Watch this. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put it over there upside down, and that's it. I'm just going to do one from that comes out. This is a piece of 9x12 Kilimanjaro 140-pound paper. I think I'm going to do a smaller one. So I'm going to turn the paper this way. So it's 9 inches across, 12, but I'm not going to make it that large. So I'm just going to go in here and I want this to, well, I was going to paintbrush. I'm still going to make it kind of small. So here it is right here. He's looking back over his shoulder. I like these roos that are sort of looking back like this sometimes. And then we're just going to let his tail feathers hang out. And I'm going to do what I do on if I had a logo roo, he would probably be, I have to look at it now because I messed up the brush. Oh, I saw. He's got one foot up and this one's holding this. So I'm going to do part of the brush coming in here like this right here now. So I can figure out where this other foot goes. That one's going to go behind. This one's going to go around underneath like that. Oh, there we go. Look at that. And this one's going to come down over. So there we go. So he's holding the brush here. Now bring it down like this. You got to think about that sometimes when you do stuff like this. And then let that toe come out. And I'm going to pop a little ferrule on here, right here, just a little metal ferrule come out. Maybe just a couple lines in it and 3 little dimples in there like that. That's looking like a paintbrush. I love it very much. And I'm not going to do much more to this rooster than bring in some watercolor paint. I am going to put another leg here, just way up here like this. And maybe a couple drop feathers in there like so. Let the paint be the rest of this. Maybe just a mark there and one there. You know, just keep it random. But this is how I sort of keep my paintings loose sometimes. It just works really well for me if I don't try to get too detailed and too fancy in my drawings. You know, just leave little gaps that you can fill in later, for heaven's sakes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my palette this morning. Good morning, Crystal. Glad you're on the show. Carol is coming too. Did I say Carol is coming too? Yes, Carol is coming too. Carol and I both are there. Did I make enough spots for you? I had them put a Skeeter in a little atrium in the restaurant, so we've got our own little area back there, plenty of space. And I called and made reservations. They go, Roodoodles, yeah, come on over. All right, so music is kind of nice, airy. It's a little fancy sounding for what I'm doing, but I'll take it anyway. All right, so there's the rooster. There I am, and good morning to you. Let's move through here. Rooster sketching logistics. Yeah, you know, leave a little space for the rooster, for the wind might blow before I'm done here. Hey, I've got a clean glass of water this morning, or it's a I wasn't going to drink that ball mason jar, and then of course I have my lovely palette, which by the way I will just tell you now, after March, April, May, June, 3 or 4 months with this palette, I'm digging it. It's pretty cool. Gives me a little more space here. I'm keeping it pristine, so I'm cleaning my brush out every time. I'm still mixing colors on the paper. I'm not doing a palette mix. If I ever need to, I'll just, I don't. What the heck? And so there it is. It's a Lodge. I get it upside down, but it's a Lodge 5-inch square sandwich skillet, which honestly, if you ever did a sandwich in this, you might be the selfish person who ever lived. Just do a griddle or a pan big enough to hold 2 sandwiches and share one. Hey, I had the most fun day yesterday I've had in a long time, and I'll tell you what happened. But here's where I'm going to go first. I'm going to start over here on this side, and here's why. I'm right-handed, so if this were wet paint, I'd have to paint like this. And now I'm going to come in here and just use this number 1 bamboo brush and just splatter some paint in, just like that. Look at that. I don't want this to be too fancy. Well, you know, no one's ever accused me of being slick and fancy, and it's not going to start now. I'm way too old for that. Okay, so let's get a little gamboge here and come in and just do a little gamboge, and then pick up a little yellow, Indian yellow and gamboge. I've been introducing a little bit of Indian yellow. It looks orange, but I promise you it's Indian yellow when you put it down. It's a little, that whoa was almost knocked my, it's a little bit brighter than gamboge, and sometimes I want that. And I want to touch the red every now and then. I just want the red to touch just a little bit, and there's a reason for that, because it's sort of, you can see I don't really care about staying in the lines there, okay? Like, who cares? All right, and I also want to leave some holidays in here. Don't forget to leave those illustrious potentate holidays. I'm going to come in with a little bit of water now, and I'm just going to kind of get fancy with some water. Look at this. I'm just sort of slopping some in here as, who was it, that old comedian, Archie Campbell. I met him when I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. He was on the Hee Haw Show, and I went to interview and did a story for them one time. I wrote a play, and he got to see it. And well, he didn't see the play, saw the script, and but he was the one that told the Cinderella story backwards. Instead of saying dropped her slipper, he would turn everything around and say slopped her dripper. So here we go. I'm going to slop the dripper. I'm going to just drop 1 drop of black ink on there, and maybe that might be enough. Okay, and then just let it sort of go where it needs to go. Whoops, I don't want that piece going down there. That's just uncalled for. And so I'm going to bring this in and just let it just dance in here just a little bit like this. And then I'm just, look where I'm holding this brush. You see how high up when I'm holding this brush? I'm almost just like flicking it a little bit like you would if you're messing around with a poker in the fireplace. Gosh, there's an example. I love it when those things just come out of my mouth and I don't know what the heck I'm saying, which is most of the time. Roosters painted while you wait. And so what's kind of fun about roosters like this is that you do kind of have this moment where people say, well, I don't have that much time. And you go, yeah, me either. That's why I'm painting quickly now. So I'll just put a little bit of red. If I do need to mix something, let me show you what I'm mixing right here. I keep a little extra pan right in here. And so it's got a lot of red in it right now, but I'm going to try and bring it, or orange. I'm going to try and drop a lot of yellow down in there, like so. I'm going to clean out my brush, go get some more of this gamboge yellow right here, and I'm going to drop it down in here. And I'm after a little bit of a color that's not Halloween orange, that's not just yellow, but it's a little mixed yellow, and I'm going to put a little bit of buff titanium in there, just like that. And then I'm going to come in with that and see if that's going to give me sort of the leg color that I'm after. It's still just a little bit yellow, so I'm going to drop some yellow just right on that and then drag it in. I didn't get what I wanted in the mix, so I'll just go back to mixing in the paper like I said I would. All right. And then I'm going to bring some of this black right in here. That piece I don't want going down the leg, so I'm going to stop it. And I'll come back in here with a little bit of some wings and torn, scattered, and shattered, and covered. Sound like a Waffle House menu. All right. I'm going to put a little green in this. And there's my rooster. He started. Now I'm going to come and do, and in honor of Cheap Joe's art stuff this morning, I'm going to have to just do this brush in green. Look at this. Look at that right there. I'm just going to have to do a green brush because I like what those guys do with their brushes. You know, it's an inexpensive brush for as long as I put them through the test. And I'm telling you what, I have been hard on their brushes. I have used them for many years, and they hold up well. I gave 2 away yesterday, and I told my friend, I said, I hope you're not frustrated that I'm giving you some hand-me-downs, but honestly, I still paint with them every day. It's just that I have them replaced. And so yesterday morning, I got up about 7 o'clock, and I went outside, and I built a fire. in the in my big grill box, and I cook with wood, and so I grabbed that and I came in and I seasoned up just salt and pepper, two big slabs of ribs, and I went out and I put them on that hickory fire off to the side, and I let them smoke for an hour. And then I came back and I wrapped them up in foil and I tended the fire a little more and I put them over and I let them smoke for another hour in the foil, and they just steamed in there, their own juices, and broke apart. And then I took them out of that foil and I just brushed a little bit of barbecue on them, just some sweet honey barbecue, nothing spicy, salt, pepper already, and then my friend showed up about through that second wrap. I'd already had them wrapped a little bit, and we sat and painted watercolor for a good hour and visited about life and love and friends and family, and just beautiful time. And then Carol made us a couple little small salads, just a little baby iceberg lettuce wedge split up, and we ate outside and painted the rest of the afternoon. What a day. And it made me think, and he and I talked about it quite a bit. Our pace is off. People's pace is wrong. We run too much. You know, the reason I even watercolor paint is because Carol has said this. Not only did she say you smell like metal and she gave me watercolor paints, but she said you never sit down. And so now I have this ability to come and just really want to sit down and sip a cup of tea and savor art. And it has been a blessing in my life. I know you can tell it because you can sort of hear it, see it, feel it in my voice sometimes. And I just love that. I'm going to put a little bit of brown in this brush just like that. I'm going to go with a little bit of French gray just on this ferrule right here, just to mark it up just a little bit. And of course, I think I'm going to have to go with Terry Tardy turquoise, just because of, there it is. That's the Carol. I always put this in for Carol, who loves turquoise. And then I'm just going to do this right here, splatter it like that. I might even, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to put in just a little more rich turquoise. And I'm also going to take a little of that out and I'm going to splatter it back on the brush just a little, and even on the rooster himself. And so there's my little rooster while you wait. Let me back off just a smidge. Colors are a little brighter here than they are on the camera this morning. But I'm not going to do any more to this, I don't think. The only he says, I don't think, right as he grabs his pen to come in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little detail in. So I'm going to give it just a second to dry while I take a sip of tea and see if there's any questions. April 10th. Yes, it is April 10th. Is it not April 10th? Did I say April something else? Which one of the Cheap Joe's brushes? They have several kinds. Which one of the Cheap Joe's brushes? They have several kinds, right? Well, yeah, I carry a lot of Cheap Joe's brushes. You want to see them? Here they are while that dries for a second. Take a look. The brown ones you see in here are bamboo brushes. Those are Yasutoma brushes. These other brushes are all Cheap Joe's. Okay, so, hey, look, I've been doing this for over a dozen years. And so, and the way I paint, I don't wear out many brushes. This is a Joe Miller brush right here. But this is a little brush. Here's a Joe Miller. Here's a 12 in here, a 10, an 8. Here's just a handful. Take a look at these. These are all American Journeys. So I use the American Journey. Here's why. For my style of watercolor, I have a couple pseudo sables. I don't have any sable brushes in the stock where I'm just going to say I'm going to need to do watercolor with a sable brush. And part of that is, it's not that I'm against painting with a good brush. It's just that I'm kind of rough on my tools. And so I don't want to pay $75 or $80 for a real sable brush and then paint the way my style is and tear it up. I would rather have something that springs back. Sable does really well. Oh my gosh. And if I have a pseudo sable that I love, my point is that I have the ability to tear up brushes because sometimes I'll just punch in the way I pick. I don't paint. I just sort of stipple and pop and paint and flick and move and drop them down on the desk, well, throw them down on the desk. And so these nylon brushes, and here's what it's called if you want to see it. It's called a interlocked nylon brush. It's got a great shape to it and the way it's put together. This is a rigger brush. this brush works great for me, and it has for many years. And so part of it is it's what you get used to. What I steer people toward, and you all hear me say this often, is use a brush that's and these aren't like, this brush is still going to cost you $17-18. Okay, so you're going to pay. This is not a $3 brush from Michael's or a big box store or Hobby Lobby that you go, hey, I used it one time and now its bristles look like this, and you go like, I can't paint any detail. I go to put something down and it sort of looks like I'm just using all of my. It looks like I'm painting with a wire brush, and so I use decent brushes. So there. And these brushes, by the way, the Yasutoma brush that I just painted this with, this is a $4 brush, for heaven's sakes. It's goat hair, sometimes a little squirrel mixed in, but it's a fun brush. I'm going to get a little orange here. I think that he needs a little bit of a beauty mark. I think he just needs a stroke of orange coming right through here, just like this, maybe a couple, and then it's just a little orange, couple orange beauty spots. I want him to be a little bit of a messy Roo, because, and I'm going to have to put just a little bit of I think I'm going to put him just on a little bit of a box here, so it looks like he's not just flying out in midair. And I think I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I'm going to use an apple box. I'm going to put a strap there, and I'm going to put a corner on it here, and then I'm just going to put a couple ends in like this. And there, a little, yeah, just a little bit of brace there. This box is going to come down like that and a brace on that end there. And I'm going to come in now and just drop a little bit of box color in there. See? Just a little bit of an old age box, like an apple box. Come in like this, like so. Let me get a little more, just a little darker brown on these corners. And my music stopped, but I'm still painting. Okay, I can do it. And then come in. I'm going to grab a little bit of, watch this. I'm going to grab a little bit of French gray and just touch it on there and just let it just kind of run in there. Maybe add just a touch more water. I'm going to also grab a little bit of Payne's gray. If a study says cat naps is good for creativity. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm drilling out. I want to have some smoked ribs. Yeah, man, I'm telling you what. I'm just going to tell you. They were the most awesome ribs. We sat outside. The day was just spectacular. Saw a cardinal. Saw a brown-shouldered hawk chase a crow out of the yard. I saw some squirrels duke it out over some bread I threw in the yard. Just what a morning. The eastern towhees were there. The French. I had a cardinal that came in, and he looked up and goes, I think that cardinal has bedhead. I mean, his top knot was just like going, like, did he run into a limb on the way down to the feeder or what? So it's love being outside. The baby rabbit didn't show up yesterday, but usually there's a baby rabbit that'll appear. I think I live with Snow White. I look around and Carol's feeding something else. All right, this is turning into a great little painting. I'm liking it very much. I'm going to just go with a clean brush here and let this sort of this cross hatching just sort of bleed in, and then I'm just going to give it a little touch of a little green on top of that, just to create a little bit of a lawn or a yard. I wouldn't say lawn if you look at my house, but and I think this box has got a little bit of drip of just some scatter paint on it too. And then I'm going to come in here and build this up just a little bit more where it's here. He's standing on the box like that. And then I'm going to put in my detail. Sometimes I'll use a 5, sometimes I'll use a 7 for the detail. I'm not going to use that 7 because it's a brand new one. Excuse me. Little toenails here. Notice I'm sticking my hand in this paint down here, so I'm trying to keep over the top of that. I'm just doing a little detail with my pen, and I'm going to show you where else I'm going to put some detail in. I'm putting some little dots here. Now watch this. I'm going to come right in here. And while this is still wet, I'm going to take my 07 needle tip, and I'm just going to bring in a little bit of just some underpinning feathers that you might see come down on a rooster right there like that. Look at how that little bit of detail helps. Isn't that amazing? And so remember, you're in charge here. And if I want some little looser feathers up here, sometimes I can just take the back of a brush. And here's one. Here's what my brushes start to look like. Look at the difference between the paint on this one and this one. You see that? Okay, and sometimes that's from this because I'm not paying attention. But all right, I'm going to take this brush right here and I'm just going to wet it a little bit on the tail end, and I'm just going to use it to sort of bring out a little bit of that black, just so it's not so clubby in there. And I might do the same thing here. I might just dip it in the red a little bit, come in here. And the same with the yellow. I'm going to put a little, uh-oh, messed up right there. The brush still had red paint on the tail end of it. I'm just going to stick that brush down into the yellow. And I'm going to bring out a little bit of yellow right here, just on this, just like that. I like these loose feathers. It gives, well, look, okay? You wind up sort of painting kind of who you are, and you should. All right, so there's a couple drips, and then maybe just a drip that's dripped down on the edge of the box. Watch this, and we'll come in right here with a little extra water, a little, and just put a drip there and let it come down the box just like that. And I might even turn this around like so and give it a little blow down the side like that, so it looks like I've got a little paint on my box, and that turns into a good painting. All right, Rooster's painted while you wait. There it is right there. I like this painting. Dang. Elaine Barnett says the colors in this room are brilliant. And I'll tell you kind of why they're brilliant. Thank you. But I'm going to tell you why I think they are. And this is not a bragging comment. This is what I'm learning to do and what I want you to learn to do. I'm painting on paper that I know. 140-pound Kilimanjaro bright white. Here's what the cover looks like if you want to see it. This is it right here. 140-pound or 300 GSM. Look, it doesn't weigh 140 pounds. Don't be fooled. Joe Miller told me a great story one time. He said this lady ordered. She said, "I want some 300-pound. I want some 300-pound paper." And so he ships her a box, and she calls him and says, "That only weighs like 15 pounds. It's not 300 pounds of paper." He said, "No, it's. Never mind. Okay." You get the point. It's 140-pound weight. GSM is in metric. It's an original bright white, and so it's watercolor pad. Now this is a pad. What is a pad compared to a block? A pad is paper that is only glued on one end. So when I pick it up, it picks up like a reading pad, like so. Okay, a block is glued all the way around except for one little place where you have to take a tool, a credit card, a pocket knife, a nail file, and slide in very carefully and it break the glue loose. Why would I want a pad? Because I want both. I take a pad and I slice this down because it fits well in my little journal that I carry out and about when I'm in restaurants and places like that. Like I'll go to the restaurant tonight with my small little oh, it's downstairs. I'll go with my little oh, here it is, right here. I'll take my little Altoid box, okay, and I'll take a water brush and I'll take a couple fountain pens, and I'll go and I'll have some small little pieces there that I always give the folks at Roosters, and I'll give a couple away at the table tonight when we're having dinner with I think 10 folks, most of them from Greenville, maybe some from Charlotte, and but I use this paper because I know the paper, okay. So if you're running around and you're buying the cheapest stuff you can buy on sale, and you're going like, "Hey, I only paid $1.99 for this 25 sheets of paper," and well, you get what you pay for. And so when you go to paint on it, it just goes like, I can't control it. It's got a tractor-looking footprint in it. It just your paint's running around, and also your paint just goes, and it just flattens out and becomes very dull. 140-pound rough paper, cold press, has some undulations in it, and those undulations, when they soak up the paint, they have facets on them. Think of the facets in a diamond ring. Why does your diamond shine? It's because all those facets cause it to catch light and branch out. So that's what happens with this. Use too much water, it'll dull it out. It'll also make your paint a little more transparent. So I just put a little bit on there. Then I dropped a full strength, a little drop of black carbon liquid watercolor on it, But you can see where here I had a little extra water, but I also wanted this to be lighter in the middle. I've done this enough to go, I think I want it to look like this. If I wanted to brighten that up a spot, I could. It's something in me's calling for it, but I'm holding off because I love this brightness here that catches my eye and then pulls me in. So it works that way. So you have to decide composition-wise what you want. I think some people are going to look at this and go, oh my gosh, it's a paintbrush that's all full of paint, it's dripping out. And then they go, look, and then some people are going to go, ding, look at that rooster's tail. And then their eye's going to cover the whole piece. All these spots around, they don't bother me at all. This is a messy painting. It's like leaving your drop cloth that doesn't cover the whole room. I really could care less, just have fun with it. And so, in fact, I'm going to come in and just put a couple other little blue spots in here like that. And I might even put a little more of this. There's 2 spots of him on the rooster, like, hey, painted while you wait. And so, he's getting ready to go. Now, when this completely dries, I'm going to put a little more detail in here. I'm going to put on some darker, and I'm just sort of waiting until I can get my hand in here. Sometimes these are things that I'll do later. Sometimes I'll just let them go. It depends. But also, what I'll probably do is I'll come back in with a white ink gel pen, and I'll probably write a little something on this brush right here once it dries out. And so it's just a little too wet to do that with. So that's the paint I'm on. The other, I keep this for cutting up, so it's easy to rip off and cut in my paper slicer. I keep one that's glued all the way around. That's the pad for when I'm working on a piece of art on the pad, or I'm traveling and I want it to stay flat while it dries. Or maybe if you're doing landscape paint, you have to use a little more water to get those bleeds in the sky and in the mountains that you're trying to do. So if you're working on a landscape, maybe you do want a block, so that that water that's in there, when the paper starts to buckle, the edges are still taped down or glued down in that case. Does that make sense? All right, so I think I may show you that here in a second, but I'm going to show it to you right now. All right, this is a watercolor block, okay? And here's how you can tell. This one says pad. Here's what it says, glued one side. So before you buy it, read everything on here. Say, oh, I got the right paper. Oh, no, I got the wrong paper. It says glued one side. So that's at the top. That makes it a pad. This one says glued 4 sides. Okay? So that means all this, all the way around, this little slick piece right here is glued, except for right here, right where my fingernail is, right there. There's a little opening. And so I can stick a tool in there like this. Watch this little tool. See how easy? Oh, there it is. And that'll break that loose. Be careful when you do, okay? And so I can paint something on this with a lot more water. I'm going to move this over just for a second and let it dry. You know what? I like this rooster. Dang. I might have to put him out to auction today and just so somebody wants him in their kitchen. He's a good kitchen rooster. Okay. So here's a good example of a rooster with a lot more water, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to do him this way. So here he's looking back. He's got his head up here like this. Come down. We'll do the same thing with him that I did with the other rooster. I'm just going to not finish his tail either, but I'm going to put his leg. I'm just going to put his leg out front like this, little uphill a little bit. Now how do I know where to do that? Because the ground's coming in just like this. I'm just going to go ahead and do some cross hatching in here. I love to ground my roosters. I hate it when they're both feet, like most people, or both feet are firmly planted in midair. That's where most people are, right? All right, so watch this. We'll do this one more time. Same size brush. This is about a number, I think this is a number 1, maybe a number 2. I cut up some Arches paper to take with me on vacation. I plan to paint fish. Yeah. And by the way, Heather Kuhlman, if you do catch a fish, listen to me very carefully here. If you catch fish, let's say you catch a little perch. Let's say you catch something. Don't cut. Keep one big, small. Let's say you catch a fish this big. Once the fish has sort of stopped all his rocking and rolling, get a fish, dry him off really well, and then take your paintbrush and dip it in your colors and put a nice green or maybe some yellow green or green gold or a little bit of orange in around. Paint the fish. Paint a real fish. Paint the fish. And then press the fish into the paper and rock him like a block print. And then, rinse him off and put him back in your cooler. You can eat him later. The watercolor's not going to hurt anybody. And you're going to get a fish print. Then, if you're going to get some fish scales, and then you can finish that up in your own water detail. Is that brilliant or what? Yes, my brother used to do it all the time. You ever paint a rooster with Payne's gray tail? Donna Buckley, just for you, I will. You're not going to like it. It's going to look a little painted out. Paint who you are. Love the paint drips on the brush. Let's see here. I'll catch you later. Family's here. Gene, have a great time. I tried that. The fish were not biting. Okay, I'm going to go to QQQ and see if I got any. Oh, went to the wrong search. I'm sorry. QQQ. You ever paint a rooster? And which one of cheap brushes? Okay, there we go. All right, and I put my cues up there. You can see my brain is not working this morning. All right, here we go. Watch this. I'll do this one with Payne's Gray. And I've got some Payne's Gray right here in my pan, a small bit of it. Sometimes I don't go to Payne's Gray. I'll just go, but it has a little more of a green or yellow tint to it. I just go to black and I just swing it down a little bit with a little water, just loosen it up. I'm going to go in here with just a clean brush. Even though I started that red, I'm going to just let this work a little bit. I'm going to come down in here like so, and then I'm going to come back and just touch this in. Now, if I use too much water up here, what does it do? It causes my red to dilute, makes it thinner, makes it not as bright, and it also causes the paper to flatten out a little more. So, but I also do not want to paint acrylic. So I don't want to come in and dry brush this entire thing. So I just want a little bit of red in here to come in like so. Pick it up. At that point in time, I'm going to finish his beak here, just here a little bit, and I'm going to create a little bit of a swing across him. I like this little piece here to differentiate from where the hackle feathers get into the tail feathers, and then I also like to differentiate the neck there, so I'll do that. So here we go, just a little bit of water, and this water is beginning to dirty up a little bit, so I think this one still has a touch of red in the brush. I'm glad that's there because you can see the water a little bit go on my painting. Can you see what I'm doing here? I think you can sort of see that. What's happened is there's a little bit of red on my water jar, and I keep hitting it when I go in there. This will work out just fine. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go in here, and Donna, just so you can see this, I'm going to go in with the Payne's Gray, and I'm going to add some extra water into that Payne's Gray. So I'm just making a little soup right here. Just a little soup with Payne's Gray, and I'm just wiggling my brush around, which you've got to be careful because I use these tight little boxes for my paint. What happens a lot of times is this is where I'm kind of rough on brushes. Some people lay them out in panels and they can pick up the paint a little smoother. It may be a little easier on the brush. I just have learned this way. I learned because of space, and I love it this way. So here now I'm throwing in the Payne's Gray. And you see, I loaded my bamboo brush with Payne's Gray. Can you see how much paint I had in that squirrel brush? Okay, so there's a Payne's Gray tail right there. Okay, you wanted to see it? You got it. But I think it's really going to have a little purple to balance it off down here like this. Whoa, baby, is that cool? And then let's go in with a little orange because we just have to have a little offsetting color. And I'm going to drop it right in, right like this, and just let it splatter in that black tail. I'm going to grab a little bit of gamboge yellow and come down through here like this. And watch, I'm going to touch the red right here. Get ready. Boop. And watch it come down the hill. Too much. So I'm going to stop it a little bit. Too much. Just erase. You're in control of your colors, okay? Clean my brush out. I had a little too much red in it. And then this is where the lines of my sketch don't mean a whole lot to me. They're there just to guide my brain a little bit. Okay, now I think what I'm going to do here is I don't want to mess up this beautiful back part of this rooster, so I'm going to come in here with a little bit of French gray and let the yellow hit, but I'm also going to come in with a little bit of this brown because I want some dirty brown on the bottom of this rooster, and I think it'll offset this part of the tail over here that works like this. All right, let's go back and get a little bit of this leg color that I started with. I'm eventually going to get this leg color toned down to what I want it toned down to, I think. I'm going to have to put a little white in there. Here, I'm getting closer now. Yeah, now I'm getting closer. Okay, I'll take it. That's a little too orange, but I'll temper it with a little bit of yellow, or I'll just stick a napkin on it or a paper towel on it and break it apart like that. That works well. There's a million ways to do this. You're in charge. You're the one who's doing it. And I feel like there's a color missing somewhere that I think what I want to do is I want to bring a little of this blue out and just put it right in here, right in there, just a little bit, and then just give me some, I'm kind of liking that, okay? You can see how hard this is. All right, what I did was I took a little mint julep and I dropped it right up in there just like so. And I'm going to let a little of this mint julep just drop back into this Payne's Gray, which is kind of beautiful. And by the way, I want you to see, Donna, if you see this, you see what's happening right here? Let me go in on that if I can. Look at this, if you can see that. See, this is beautiful, pristine Payne's Gray right here where my brush is. And look right here is where I did that orange sweep. And look at this brown, rusty color that's come into the tail right there. That is so cool. I like it a lot. It was a color that I couldn't paint. It was a color that I didn't paint. It was a color that I really couldn't do anything with. It just happened. And so I kind of like when that happens and you get this funny feel for saying, wow. And you go, I can't believe you got those colors. And I'll go, I can't believe I got them either. I just put them there with enough water to make them run. So don't work harder than you have to work, people. Watercolor painting is about enjoying the process. If you're stressed out that you're going to mess something up, guess what? You're going to mess something up. Yesterday, I was telling my friend some watercolor tricks, and he's doing some small journaling, which is what I love to do. And he's also doing some biblical journaling like I'm doing. So we were talking about how people are so hard to draw. I said, look, God's given some people, the ability to draw some people. I didn't get that gift. I got the gift of gab, and I got the gift of storytelling and whimsical roosters after I've worked for them. But I didn't get the gift of really making people look like people in paintings. I just didn't. And so, but I was showing him how to draw a little parsnip people, we call them, or carrot people, or I was also showing him how to draw little people by just, by shapes. Remember, a little horseshoe or round shape and a cone and cones. And I know I've done this for you lots of times, and make the whole little team and a whole little family out there. And so I'm going like, look, don't spend too much time on this. Just make it happen very quickly. And I was telling him how to leave some holidays and white spaces and all that. And I thought, I wish I had something that you could read about this. And I went, well, I'm a silly person. I own a book that Pat and I did. And I came up and I got a copy of, and I said, I think I'm giving you a copy that is, I don't even think I have a new copy. I think I'm giving you a copy that has some typos in it, but you'll get the drift. And so I flipped through here and I went, look, here's what you got to remember. Art done out of service will never hold the eye of art created out of love. So if you love what you're doing, just create it and quit worrying about what everybody else thinks. And so there's some things there and there that this was the one I was looking for. Holidays are not just people for people. Art gets its life from space and holidays. So if I leave these spaces in here and all these spaces in here and not try to make this look like a backdrop painting, or you say, oh, now I could paint a chicken house over here. I could paint a bird and a fence and a flower. I don't need to do that in my storytelling art. If you need to do that and you want to do that, there's no rule against it. And it's not wrong if you do. It's just not the style that you'll see me do, because it's all about your personal style. It's about you finding how you bring thoughts and color to the page. And that really is what it boils down to before it's all said and done. There are some things happening here that I just really love. Can you see it right here? This is just fabulous. I'm going to back this out just a little bit. but you get some colors in here. And once this dries just a little bit more, I'm going to come in here now. I'm holding my hand up to not hit this Payne's Gray here. And I'm just going to put a little dot there for an eye. And then I'm going to do just some details again. Watch this. I'm going to go back in with those little lines that I did in the other one. Why do I do that? It just gives a little depth to the feathers here. I'm going to create some toenails here on these big old toes. Sometimes my chickens have a third toe, but it's also hidden over there, so you can't really see them. All right, and then I'm going to do some veining. I think it's dry enough for that now. And then I'll do some little hairs that stick out, because it's not all goose bumps. It's chicken bumps too. They have them. You know what chicken skin looks like, those of you that have been on the farm. I do some little grass spurts with this, just kind of weep it out there like so. And so I have a couple things that I really like. I have this intense Payne's Gray, so Donna, on behalf of you asking. And then I have this mint julep color that's breaking into that. And I have the orange on this end breaking in. So it really balances that. It gives me a good little feel for what's going on there. But I'm going to bring my pen in here and just create a little more looseness around this Roo. Because of his tail, he looks too prim and proper over here and too loose over here. So I'm going to bring some looseness to him over here like this by just dropping in some little eyelashes that are out of sight. There's his little nose coming through the beak. And so I'll do this quite often. Sometimes I'll just take my 07 pens and drag it right through the ink or the paint and let it just create a little brush strokes. And look, I'm bringing it down now over that orange, which shows me a little more wear and tear back here. Can I show you this real close one more time? Take a look. This was just dragging the pen through. Can you see that? I have a hard time waiting for paint to dry enough to add details. Will this be up for sale? Yes, it will, Donna. I'll put it out there. So here's the thing. Heather, if you have a hard time doing that, then just get up from the desk and go make another cup of tea. And give it about another 5 minutes. But I'm going to see something that I'm going to change. So I want you to see what I'm going to change. Something that I caught my eye that I don't care for. All right, here it is right here. Take a look. This is why I do this. I don't want to do this to think, oh, he does it so well. No, I make mistakes. Look right here. See that? That's this orange and this black, or the two colors that I put in there. Maybe a little wash of purple. It's coming here and it's made a big brown glob right there. I'm going to lighten that up by just taking a paper towel, folding it up like this. See it? And then I'm going to go. Get ready. Boop. 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 Then I'm going to come in with my pen and just drag a few of these little soft lines in there. And see, I lighten that up, and now it gives me this ability right here. Okay, so now this is all pretty wet. So this is a great example of this whole area is being wet. What you can't see is this paper. Look at my hand. This paper is looking like this right now. It's buckling right here where I'm pointing with my left finger, and my right hand's doing this. It's buckling up. So I'm going to leave it on this piece of paper glued down until it's completely dry. And I might leave it there until tomorrow. And you go like, well, no, it's going to dry before that. Yes, but it might still have a lot of moisture in the backside of the paper in my office here with the air conditioner running that hasn't dried out yet. So I'm just going to leave it there so it'll frame completely flat. Now, one thing I will do is come back in with a little bit of sky. We got to paint some sky in here. By the way, I think I'm going to paint a little sky. So I'm just going to come in here and just do a little sweep with water. Just a little touch right there, maybe over here. And by the way, if this sky is probably going to get cut off at some point in time, but I also may put a caption over here. And here's just my loosey, squirrely sky that's coming in like this, coming down, maybe a little bit right touching here. Just kind of just pushing this brush around and letting it pick up. Got maybe a rain cloud coming over there. There's a little back on this side. I'm going to grab a little touch of blue in here and just give this a little bit of a splatter. And sorry, I was pretty close to that. You couldn't even see what I was painting, could you? There it is. Well, surprise! There's a sky. Okay, so there it is right there. And by the way, those little marks that I put in, this pen, because of the liquid ink in it, it's already parted a little bit. And I love that too. I love the fact that it changes until it's completely dry. It's just wonderful. I love this. This is a medium that I embrace. Let it paint itself. Please don't work too hard at trying to push watercolor around with the brush. Wait till about 5 minutes. Bedtime is up. Boom. Hmm. So sometimes it's hard to wait for paint to dry. Well, that's what the old working world says. Well, let's wait till the paint dries. Hey, man, I painted two roosters today that I kind of love, and so I may paint one more here in the next 10 or 12 minutes. Golly, it's amazing what you can get done when you paint. So hey, the book is called Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, and here's the thing about it. It's not a great watercolor painting book. What it is a good book at is some stories of why I do what I do. And Pat Brooks, in her wisdom and talent. I didn't prompt her at all, except said, "Hey, leave some holidays." And really, that's ask her. That's what I said. And don't make these too finished because you can paint. I just want you to write some things and make some things that work for you and do it in your style. And so I picked the ones out and said it's going to be about this and this and this. Have fun with it. And so she did, and I love it. What is it that sets you apart? What is it that sets my painting apart? And I have to think about that. Some artists will say, well, I'll never be as good as that artist. I'll never be as good as them, so I might as well not paint. But like, no, no, no. What is it that sets you apart? And so be willing to find that in your art somewhere and say, yes, I started painting for me. I didn't set out to paint and say, I think I'm going to sell a painting every 5 minutes somewhere. I didn't set out and do that. I set out because I needed to change my pace. I needed to change my creative approach to how I think. That's why I say to people, I'm not an artist, but I think like one. And it blows their mind. I have yet to be somewhere when I've said that and people didn't go, oh, yeah, I know that. And you're like, wait a minute. I have to think about that. And they go, there you go. My friend yesterday, he said, what do you, when you sit down to be an artist doing this, I'm going like, no, 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 no. You're going to sit down like me and you're going to read this and then you're going to think, how do I think like an artist? How would I think a little bit differently than anyone else, or with my style and what I know and who I am and what I bring to this? You're going to bring your own history. When I say your visual voice, I say that with the utmost care to say at some point in time, you have to say, this is how I like my art to look. I don't care if other people like it or not. I'm painting this for me first. And then when you get to love it and you get to realize the story that it tells, other people will start to click into it and they'll go, oh, I get this. It makes sense. So that's what this little book's about. You can find it on Amazon. Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. And life is too short for bad food, bad coffee, and bad art. So make good art. And it's a fun little book. It's got some great stories in there. I say great. You shouldn't say great about your own book, but here's why they're great to me. They were out of my own life. I didn't make any of these up. These are all actual things that have happened and people that I bumped into and told. So I haven't pushed it. Do you have any What's a Wheelbarrow? Denise, I don't have, I think I may have two here. You can get them from Amazon, but I will buy some. Give me time to get a dozen coming in. If you want to get them from me so that they're signed, I'll be happy to do that. Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow is the other book. I don't even know if I have a copy of that up here. Oh wait, I do. Well, I know I have one. So here's one right here. So Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow is the children's book. And you can buy these on Amazon at any time. Just type in Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow? The book comes up. When you buy it from me, here's how you get it. I'm going to move this rooster down, and I'll come up with a caption for this rooster. And I've already put a caption on this rooster. And look, by the way, it's still as bright and pristine, and it's not completely dry yet. I feel dampness in the back of this paper. So I'm going to let these dry all day. I may shoot a photo of one of these and post it right away, but I'll give you an idea on that later. I need to put this one on the floor. Boom. I need to put, this is the Roodoodles book. This is a cross between small farm equipment and roosters. It's called Roodoodles. This is a coloring book for kids. I would say watercolor pencils or colored pencils is the best way to go, or even little markers. It's not good watercolor paper. There is a story over here, and this is all fictitious, funny stuff that you can read to your kids about the levers. This is how I grew up. I grew up putting stuff. I still do, for heaven's sakes. I'm a Rube Goldberg lover. I still grew up putting things together and making other things work out of other things. It's just what you do when you. I didn't grow up on a farm, but a small few acres where we had to pretend we were a farm. And like here's the Rubot rototiller, you know, and it's got a hook in the back, and it's got. Anyway, it's just fun stuff. It's for plowing around the mailbox, and this is the Rubot bug dozer. Because if you could scratch a few bugs, could you get a whole acre of grubs in just 2 minutes? This is how you get them right here. So that's what this is for. So it's a colored book. Amazon. All 3 books are on Amazon. And am I writing another one? Yes, but will I ever finish it? Who knows? So here's how I sign my books if they're here. You know what I mean by that? That means if they're here. I'm going to put a weight on that. When people order a book from me, I sign it just like this. You're going to see a very familiar looking painting that I just did this morning right here. Here it goes. I need a little music for this, and then we can finish it in 5 minutes. Here we go. Let's get something fun here. Let's jump all the way up to go. Let's see what this does. I sign my books like this because when I first met Li Zhen, a wonderful Chinese artist, and I spent time with him, and you know, he called me the lustre painter. He said, you are very whimsical, and I like your work, and you should keep doing that. And I said, well, I bought a couple of your books. Would you mind signing them for me, sir? And he said, please, I'd be happy to. Put them down over there. And I said, well, just take a second. He said, no, just put them there. And I said, well, he goes, put them there. I said, okay, I'll put them there. And he said, I sign all of my books with a painting. And I went, what? And so that's how that whole thing came about. So I said, Liam, if I ever write a children's book, and this was like 10 years before I wrote the book, I said, if I ever write a children's book, I'm going to sign it with a painting. And I did this on Kickstarter. And so I raised some money to just take time and go sit and paint. I had a full-time job and things that I was working on. And the night that the book came out and it was supposed to be published and it arrived to me, and by the time I got in there, I had sold about 450 books. And I went, oh no, I'm the craziest man alive. I've got to sit down and paint 450 little roosters. So the first thing I did was I got a pad of paper and I sat down and I started thinking, how am I going to sketch a rooster very quickly? Time for a field trip. Michael. Roodoodles.com. So that's how I sign my books. So there's one sign right there. So yes, Denise, I do have one. So there it is. And so that's a little original in the front. And I still have Liam's books. He painted Carol a crane, painted me a rooster, and they're just pristine. And he signed them, and I absolutely love them. Jason, a few back at the art class, brought me a Jacques Pepin cookbook signed. And I'm going like, seriously? And it's right in a very prominent place. And so, you know, I just kind of love how that happens sometimes. Okay, so there it is. Excited for Poems from the Pond. Yeah, me too. So I'll order some more, probably, I'll order them first part of next week when I get back from the mountains, and then I'll get some here to have a couple extras if you need. But here's one signed right here, and it's about time for me to go home. Last questions if you have some. Linda Lightning says, I think you need more colors. with Payne's Gray tail feathers. Well, I have a whole tube of Payne's Gray, so I'll be more than happy. June Jones says, what magic? Oh, magic touch. Well, let me tell you, June, what you work for is that touch is, it's not a magic trick. It's just learning your paper, learning how much water to use. And I said it yesterday. Here's how you make, here's how you're successful. You make bad decisions, and then you make good decisions. And you do not fear the failure. Paper, okay, you're going to pay a little more money for a pad of paper like this, okay? A block of paper like this. $25, $27 or something like that for this block of paper. But if I split this 4 ways, look at all the little paintings that I can give out, and look at all the little paintings that I might sell at a pop-up shop, or look at all the paintings that I might put out. My point is this, though. I become consistent in my painting because of I know how this paper reacts. I don't care what paper you use. I'm not here to sell you on Kilimanjaro. I just tell you what I use, okay? Do I love it? Yes. Do I love it more than Arches? Yes. Do I love it more than Strathmore? Yes. Do I love it more than Fabriano? Yes. Fabriano looks like it has a track pattern, so I don't get the looseness. I get something that looks like it repeats. This is rag cotton. I love rag cotton better than I like wood fiber paper because it doesn't yellow as much. It's bright white. There's lots of reasons that over a period of years, I finally got to this paper. And then I stay with a very simple brush. And I have more brushes than the average artist needs. Not really. If you go to, oh my gosh, we go to an art gallery, art crawl, and I'll see just brushes stacked in buckets. And I'm thinking, whoa, and Carol has more brushes than I do and paints less than I do. My point is that you want to have a pristine one if you need to pick it up or if you need to take it somewhere if you're painting. And so I can do that. And I've been fortunate in that some of the brushes, especially from Yasutoma, these Yasutoma brushes came to me absolutely free because they had me give away some on this show. And they said, we love that you use our brush. We love that you talk about us. This is painted with a Yasutoma, a $3.99 brush. You can still get these from Cheap Joe's for about $3 to $5, okay? Yasutoma watercolor brush, bamboo brushes. I love them. And you go like, and look, here's the thing. They can't be that, when people say, that's a cheap brush, and I'll go, well, I got it from Cheap Joe's. And that's a cheap brush. And I'll go, yeah, but you know, some of the best pen and ink artists in the world use a bamboo brush, and they are pristine. And you go into any museum and you're going to see some beautiful pen and ink that's done in Japanese, Chinese style. And it was done with the squirrel tail brush. And these are made well, by the way. Okay, so that'll give you just a little rundown on the Wild World today. It's 10 o'clock, and it's time for me to take off. What would I do with this? I'd come back in just before it went out the door, look at that, it dried just a little bit. And time for a field trip. Share a story. To me, art tells stories, and that is the bottom line. Been a fun morning to be with you. I'm going to take this, and I got to go drop some things off and wash the car and gas up, and then I got to come back and pack all my video gear. So I got to break everything down and take a lot of things out for a shoot coming up next couple of days, and very excited. Tuesday, good news, Rude people. I will not be on. So get ahead or catch up. And I didn't plan on being with Patreon people. I had you on Dragonflies for a whole morning. And oh my gosh, thank y'all for all the posts I saw in my little reel that I put out. That dragonfly, by the way, so help me, was about 4.5 inches long. The biggest dragonfly I have ever seen in my life. And he had turquoise stripes on him. It was like, really? Thank you. This was just fabulous. So that's it. All right. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Y'all be blessed. And let's see if there's any other, did I miss anything else?